But in these types of scenarios, if you're going up against one of the top 3 in the world, like these replays are going to be invaluable for improving.
Yeah.
Like you go back and you look and you're like, okay, they did this, 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 and this, and like they're more efficient because they do, you know, whatever. There's like a ton of things that you can learn, even the way they draft.
Yeah, still a lot of things to discern. I feel like we really saw that demonstrated by Vega because they were the exact scenario that you're
Taken on Team Unknown, the South American first ever Valve attendees.
This is exciting. This is history in the making here, Andy.
It is actually history.
It really is.
And the double Andy cast is here.
Radiant team ban. Vici Gaming's turn to pick.
So they take the Queen out, actually. That's a bit interesting. I mean, Queen is one of those heroes that you would ban if you wanted to pick a mid that doesn't do well against Queen. That's a bit... Or maybe they just don't like playing against a hero in general, or they have some sort of idea of...
Who does Queen dominate in particular that's really strong on this patch that Unknown might be looking to pick?
It's alright against TA.
That was the first thing that came to mind for me.
And Wind Ranger, it's like a 50-50. Like, probably slightly favored for the Queen for the first couple of levels, and then Wind Ranger just kind of pulls ahead. So, I mean, those are the obvious ones, but it depends on what kind of strat you're going for here. Like, Team Unknown already taking a little bit of time and deciding how they want to deal with this first pick on Dying coming out of Vici.
Do you have any issue with Radiant TA? I mean, everyone talks about her on the Dire, but you already kind of broke down the Roshan stuff.
I mean, obviously it's good. It's not bad to be Dire TA because you can get to the Ancient stack, and you can also go to Roshan a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, you can still stack Ancients on Radiant. It's not like out of the question. And in reality, laning as Radiant is typically seen as a bit safer, because there aren't as many ways to gank you, and getting into the jungle to stack other things besides Ancient is easier. So, not as much travel time.
Unknown open with a Gyrocopter Winter Wyvern duo. A lot of good team fight there.
Yep.
And right away, without really any hesitation, Vici say, well, we'll take that Alchemist. Thank you. And that should be your Super Alchemist just headed in.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do against this, because if you look at the way that Vici banned, like Shadow Fiend does exceptionally well against Alchemist in the middle lane. One of the few heroes who can actually deny reliably an Acid Cloud, and you get a lot of souls, and that you can deny the Alchemist farm.
Yep.
And the Slardar, also phenomenal against Alchemist because he has terrible base armor. And then Bounty Hunter can just be a huge nuisance in lane and harass and just let the mid player kind of dominate. So
what other tools are out there to try to deal with this Alchemist in lane?
I mean, you can pick just a decent laner in general. Like, we talked about TA, who I would say is good at killing Alchemists, but in the lane, it's a little bit more tricky because you're not really a pure ranged hero. You're more of like I get range as I get levels, but I'm not going to be able to really avoid Acid Spray. And plus, it eats through Refraction. So it's kind of like a 50-50.
Yeah, and now the Ancient Apparition ban, another great hero against the Alchemist.
They're just trying to set up Super to have a really easy game here, and they're doing a pretty good job of that so far.
Yeah, I mean, an Alchemist that gets a good start and a couple of those bounty runes can very quickly take over a game. You think of him as that kind of mid-game presence once he's really turbo farmed and had some space, but if he gets space in the lane, he can get active, you know, pretty early on.
Yeah.
10-15 minutes, he can be on a tirade.
I mean, it depends on what kind of build you want to go to. You want to do like the meta Radiance build with the Manta? Do you want to go for something like a Shadow Blade? It really just depends on like what kind of style Vici you want to go for here. I think the Radiance Manta is probably the way to go, especially if you consider that Vici are feeling fairly confident going up against a team that doesn't have much international like LAN experience. But for now, we're just going to see the bans kind of continue to roll out here as Rubik is taken out from Unknown. And
Rubik
already
ban,
seeing...
interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised the Wisp has made it this far into the draft and been
Vici
totally ignored.
Gaming's turn
Well, they don't
to
have
pick.
any good partner heroes with it yet.
Yeah.
I would think if anyone was going to pick it, actually Unknown and Vici could still both pick it at this point, because it's not bad with Gyro, and it's also something that you can partner with whatever safe lane Vici are going to be grabbing here, because they only have a support and a mid so far. So both teams actually still have it available.
Well, Unknown going for some big team fight presence here. They'll grab their offlaner in the Dark Seer, and well, you can see that combo.
10
Some
seconds
vacuum wall
remaining.
action with a Winner's Curse, a call down, flak cannon. A lot of AoE team
5
fight, but
seconds
as we've
remaining.
seen time and time again, Andy, easier to look at on paper and marvel at than truly
Reserve
executing
time.
game.
It is true. However, this is still one of the easier things to combo, in my opinion, because Vacuum is such a large AoE and so is Call Down that it's kind of hard to miss. Like, it actually is kind of difficult to miss.
Okay, fair
What I
enough.
would like to see is something like maybe go back for a Disruptor, for example. Oh,
Radiant
I know what
team
this
pick.
is.
Is this?
This is the
This is the off-
Aghanims Morphling. This is the Aghanims offlane Morphling who goes Midas, and then you get the Grievel's Greed going with the Alchemist Radiance, and you just go for mass amounts of farm. I'm surprised they actually didn't ban Morphling now that I think about it.
Oh.
After I saw the opening too, I was like, wait a minute. And
So-
the other thing too is you can do double Tombstone with this. You can use the Aghanims on Undying,
Oh my.
Ten
and then if the
seconds
Undying
remaining.
has Aghanims as well, you get 2 10 strength decays as well as 2
5
Tombstones,
seconds
and you
remaining.
just decimate. Like, it is insane.
So they'll put this on Ice in the laning phase.
Yeah.
Just put them off lane.
Yep,
Get some
yep.
XP, get some
VG
farm
Gamers.
going.
I think the
I
last
like
time
this.
they did this, he did Soul Ring Tranks Midas, and then he bought Aghanims, and then he just would replicate Super whenever he got his Radiance finished, and then he would just Rice. There's just non-stop farm.
Radiant team
That's
back.
insane, actually. I mean, an Alchemist alone is already a lot of farming power. You add that Morphling to the mix,
And I don't know if they fixed this, but the Grievel's Greed that you get from the replicate of Alchemist goes to Alchemist, not to the Morphling.
That definitely
10
is not
seconds
working as
remaining.
intended. That just
I mean,
sounds
it's a
silly.
little bit weird, because I think that Grievel's Greed is a
5
unique
seconds
buff in
remaining.
the game, where it's only supposed to apply to the Alchemist, so it doesn't like work properly, as far as I
Reserve
know.
time.
That's really weird. One of the weird things about Grievel's Greed is that it still lets you. It doesn't. It's not affected
Vici
by the
Gaming's
buyback
turn
gold
to
rate.
No, it
back.
is now.
It is now.
It is
They
now,
just
yeah.
changed that. Okay.
No, I think they changed it a while ago, because Midas is even affected by it now too. So like when you buy back, you just get straight up 50% less gold. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
I will defer to your
10
judgment.
seconds
Maybe I
remaining.
I
have
was
to
playing
host a
Alchemist
lobby
a couple
after this
weeks
to be
ago.
sure.
Yeah, that's what I want to double check on.
Radiant
but
team
it
pick.
either way, it's a funky spell. That really
Yes,
is really the
it
point
is
I was
very
trying to
strange.
make there.
Oh, they
So-
do go for the TA.
Okay, yeah,
Vici
Night Stalker
Gaming's
TA to
turn
round
to
out the
pick.
Unknown draft. Jakiro was the final ban from Unknown, so taking out some of the sieging presence from Vici. I mean, Jakiro Undying is still a really scary pairing if they're put in the off lane. Maybe they're misreading how this Morphling is going to be laned.
Yeah. Well, they banned it, I think, in a support capacity, because they're
Okay.
thinking that Vici's last hero is going to be support. Like, Fenrir typically plays Undying, right?
Yes, I think
10
so.
seconds
So then they have to
remaining.
pick FY's hero, which is probably why they banned Rubik in the second phase, because that was a hero that he
5
typically
seconds
plays.
remaining.
Yeah. The Viper final ban from Vici. That was another one of the heroes that
Reserve
we
time.
didn't talk about, but obviously does very well against Alchemist in the laning phase. Does well against everybody.
Yeah, the Viper ban's a bit interesting, though, because I don't think that he's particularly good against what Vici have. Like, Juggernaut can mitigate the damage. Morph doesn't really care about Viper Strike that much. Alchemist is kind of in the same boat. The only downside is you can potentially get kited. That's
Yeah.
like the only thing. Maybe they just didn't want to have to deal with it in lane, because you can just skill Corrosive, sit in Acid Spray, and Alchemist just suffers. Because every time the
Right.
acid hits him, you just get Corrosive, and it's just a nuisance.
I mean, the way they banned, as we talked about, to give Super an easy game, Viper just feels like that hero,
Maiden.
the only other one that really could have pressured the Alchemist. But now the Crystal Maiden comes out, and this is a great game for a CM. All of these heroes are going to benefit from that mana aura a lot.
Yeah, the synergy for the aura is definitely there. But you have to keep in mind that Unknown do have the Darkseer Night Stalker combo. That is insanely scary for any kind of squishy support. Ion Shelled Night Stalker for a Crystal Maiden, that is a nightmare.
That's true.
It is very, very scary for him. And they also have a very well-rounded lineup, I think, on Unknown. So Vici are going for their gimmick with the Replicate, Alchemist, Radiance, just try to farm up a ton of gold and then fall back onto the Juggernaut if you need to. Whereas Unknown have a more traditional team-oriented setup.
Uh-oh.
Looks like we got a couple of DCs here.
Yep, looks like the network's going up and down, but seems like players are able to reconnect slowly but surely, so Good, that'll give us some time to talk about this draft here, Andy.
There are just like musical disconnects going on right now. It is spooky.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I mean, Unknown have picked, I would say, more standard than Vici have picked.
Absolutely.
Like with, yeah, I think there's no real question about that. It just, again, comes down to...
I just think this Alchemist is going to be unchecked for the most part. I think the first couple minutes, maybe Super could be a little slow to ramp up against the TA. And like you mentioned, TA does have some kill power against the Alchemist with his whopping 1 starting armor. But,
yeah,
I mean, this should be an easy 11, 12-minute radiance, I think, for Super, unless something really weird happens. Most
likely, I think the Wyvern's just going to go mid, and he's going to just Arctic burn.
So you think it'll be kind of like a dual lane mid, just constant pressure?
I think so. Because if you look at Vici's lineup, who's going to sit mid? The CM is probably going to want to jungle to try to get something going for the early game, so I don't think FY is going to want to put much effort into that lane. So they're going to need an Undying to sit there, and Fenrir is not going to contribute much against a Wyvern the TA. It's like, okay, I can maybe decay and throw out a couple of auto attacks, but that's about it.
That's true.
So between Arctic Burns, I guess he can do something, but otherwise, I'm assuming that Wyvern's going to be sitting there just punching Super and trying to make his life miserable.
And I suppose there is some potential for this Night Stalker, perhaps during the first night, if they could get a kill on the Alchemist. There is potential to slow the Alchemist down. Now that you point it out.
Yeah, and the snowball potential on Unknown is also massive. Like a farm Night Stalker, an early mech on the Darkseer, before that Alchemist has anything, you are not going to be able to stop these pushes very easily as Vici. Like Crystal Maiden has very limited potential if you're going to be going for like the max aura build, which is 113, and sure, spin is alright, but you're going to need more than just a Morphling with an adaptive strike and a waveform to fight this off, I think.
Yeah, and obviously Vici are looking towards their farming tools here, and that can backfire at times if they're too greedy early on and Unknown start very aggressive, and they will do just that. Already popping a smoke on 4 of their heroes. Looks like they'll try to bait with the Darkseer a little bit and hunt for an early first blood. Vici already with some wards down, one right here to get some intel of what's coming their way, and they will clip vision of the Darkseer. They also get a ward down mid.
Scouting him out could be actually a really good thing. It's baiting FY in right now.
Yep, FY, he's going to get caught, and it looks like this will be your first blood coming out nice and easy. Gets drawn by Kataru on the Templar Assassin. First smoke yields a kill here, Draskell. Good start for Unknown. Fenrir, actually, he's going to come in here. A big decay on 4 heroes. He actually wants to fight this. He's got some backup with him. But Zetok in the front line with the Ion Shell on will feel pretty brave here, and Vici will just kind of dance around. And they won't commit to a fight as we have yet another disconnect. So, still first blood is drawn for the TA. Not a bad start.
That's pretty much the best case scenario, honestly. Like, getting to the early bottle as TA is fantastic, because that way you can use Refraction more liberally. You can harass the Alchemist in lane a little bit more. It was actually kind of funny how they placed that ward, and then the Darkseer gets scouted, and FY is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Just Darkseer coming up here. I'll just try to zone him out of the woods, you know? Prevent any potential scouting from going on, and then he just gets annihilated by 4 other heroes.
Yep.
That was actually quite a nice smoke.
I like the way Unknown did it. So scouting with the Darkseer first, so it wasn't obvious that it was just a 5-hero smoke. It was pretty crafty.
Well, under normal circumstances, if that ward's not there, it doesn't work, because they probably are just sitting together as 5, or FY is just not going that far forward.
Yeah.
Like, he only walked forward because he saw the Darkseer. Otherwise, it's just, like, no point in going over there.
Right. All right. 9 seconds until the first bounties come out. Will Vici be able to secure that valuable bounty rune for Super? Still has not skilled up the Grievil's Greed. But, oh, man.
They'll get it. There's no way that Gyro is going to contest 1v, potentially 3, I guess, in this situation.
So, it looks like still some connection issues here, Draskell.
Wouldn't be a LAN without connection issues.
That's true. It's like Unknown are losing their packets.
Well, I hope they can find them. They're kind of important if you want to play.
It's true. If only there was a LAN setting.
As someone who has played with mass packet loss, it is the most frustrating thing in the world. Back when I was at home in the US, my internet service, I was getting like
on that HughesNet
50% packet loss or something like that.
50%.
So like basically 1 every 3 mouse clicks wouldn't register when I was playing Dota.
That's unbearable.
It just feels awful.
You sort of feel like your computer has a mind of its own, like it's picking and choosing what keystrokes and clicks it wants to register.
Yeah, it was actually one of the most frustrating experiences ever. So I don't blame it for pausing. I would absolutely not want to play under those circumstances.
Absolutely. I mean, this is if you're in an online match, sometimes it's easier to say, okay, the connection issues are on you. Maybe you're having like, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. But this is a completely different scenario, and you're absolutely, man. For Unknown, there's a lot on the line here.
They gotta make a name for themselves so that they can rename themselves from Unknown to something else.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to wait until they get their connection up to where it wants to be.
Rename their team to Known if they beat Vici? Like you just take the Un part off.
Hey guys, we're Team Known. Yep.
Well, they definitely are already a lot more popular just from having been at the major in the first place.
Oh yeah. National pride, man. So okay, we will try to resume once more here, and down bottom, Super will be able to grab this bounty, and Fenrir gonna bully out the gyrocopter, and up top it will be the Templar Assassin to grab that other bounty. So plenty of gold for her. She's got a salve that's going to be run out on this cute little Greevel here.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff all around. But getting the first blood puts him way, way closer to bottle. And as expected, Excel is kind of in the area. Or Hatsune Miku, as I'm sure that's actually what his name is. But
some anime fans.
Or is it
here.
Actually Excel? I think it was Excel.
No, it's Excel. Yep, his name's Excel. I don't know what the tail part of the name is. So, alright, Gyrocopter being the safe lane. Ice, as we predicted, will be on the Morph lane off lane, and Fenrir will just rotate down and start to bully out this Gyro a little bit. This could be a rough lane for the Gyrocopter. We'll have some support on the way from the Winter Wyvern, but I feel like Excel is just going to have to constantly be ping-ponging from the bottom lane to make space for the Gyro, as well as moving mid lane to try and pressure that Alchemist.
I think securing the farm for the Gyrocopter is probably a little bit more important than dealing with the Alk right now. Like, TA in lane shouldn't have a ton of problems with Alk. Really, the problem stems from Acid Spray. But if you're just a little bit patient with it and you don't get too over-aggressive, it should be fine. And if he wants to win the lane even harder, he can even opt to skill a couple of points into Meld. Because every time the Alchemist goes up for a CS, you can meld him, and since he has very low base armor, it hits extremely hard, even at like levels 1 to 2. Yeah. And he even gets a point into it right now. So.
He's going to go really aggressive here. He pops the salve, goes into the refraction, and Super's still getting some okay farm, but being pressured quite hard. And TA is one hero that can actually deal with the Acid Spray pretty well, has pretty decent starting armor. Checking out the top lane, though. Looks like Unknown is still staying pretty aggressive here. You talked about this duo, the Darkseer Night Stalker, and you can see the defensive posture here from FY.
Yeah, FY is the one they have to go on, because you can't kill Burning in this lane. As soon as you go on him, he'll just pop spin and walk it off, and there's not really much you can do. Because they're so reliant on magical damage, Juggernaut is a really good pick at preventing pressure. The first night is probably going to be when we're going to see that Night Stalker Z-Talk actually make something happen here, but for the early game, I think that they're actually doing quite well in lanes. Like, Super is getting wrecked mid right now.
Yeah, 14-6 on the TA. He's only 6-0 in terms of last hits. That's a little bit rough. Fenrir will actually rotate up this way after picking up the Bounty Rune to try and give him some support. Kataru playing this very well, though.
Man, he is actually getting destroyed. That is insane. 15-8 at 230.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Is he actually dead?
It could be Kataru on his way in, but Fenrir, he'll bully him back, hits him with the Decay. And that'll be the end of it for now. Back in the top lane, Burning getting pressured here. What is the Juggernaut build these days, Andy? Is it all about that Blade Fury? I feel like we've just increasingly seen this build become more prominent.
Yeah, people are even going as far as to only getting 1 point into Blade Dance nowadays. So they get the 1 value point, right, for 20% crit. And then they max Blade Fury, and then they put a couple of points into Healing Ward and stats. Like, I think in this lane, you definitely need an earlier point into Healing Ward than normal.
Yeah.
But it also depends on what kind of build he goes. Like, if he goes the normal build with Phase, you actually need more points into stats to use Healing Ward, so he'll probably only get 1.
Oh, here we go. Burning will get a little aggressive here. Pops the Blade Fury, but Greedy will be able to just give himself the Surge, head back to safety. They pressure FY, but no kill will come about. It's interesting how both teams in this top lane have what you would normally call a lane that has a lot of kill power, but it's pretty much a wash because the Juggernaut doesn't really care so much about all that magic damage, and, well, the other way around, they're pretty immune to the slow from Crystal Maiden. They're never going to get caught by that Blade Fury because, well, they've got Surge, so... And
it's nighttime in 20 seconds, and this Night Stalker is,
Dude, he's gearing up. He's already rotating mid.
Yeah.
They want to go for this out.
If they void Super, like, 1 time, I think he just dies, because this TA is 3 points in a meld at level 5. This is actually...
This is the kill build.
This is a heavy commitment, though, because normally you see, like, 2-2-1. It's like 2 refraction, 2 meld, 1 side blades. This pretty much means that his farming rate is going to be a little bit, like, slow. Because you actually need refraction to kill stacks. And Meld is not nearly as good for farming as it is for just the sheer lane dominance, which the guy is 30 and 12.
I mean, he's making up for it right now.
Actually crushing this lane super hard right now.
And it's not even just this lane. I mean, Unknown are dominating all of the lanes. They've got a nice little lead to themselves, about 1k gold, 1k experience already. And we see Kotaku going very aggressive onto Fenrir. A Soul Rip will come out, but Kotaro, he's committed to this. Now Super could turn, throws out the unstable concoction. Does he have the damage to find the kill, though? It doesn't look like it. One more punch. He'll sip the bottle and turn. Now Super, he has to head back to his tower. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, some more aggression coming out. Burning, getting low, but they'll go on to Z-Talk. The freeze from FY will lock him in place, and now Burning will head back to safety. So Vici will find a kill up in the top lane. FY finding credit for it.
Well, thankfully, the TA is winning his lane 2v1, so that one death top is a little bit unfortunate. They didn't manage to get Burning for the Night Stalker trade, but they're still pressuring the lane pretty well. The Darkseer is still leading farm over the Juggernaut, so that's alright. And they did eventually make Burning put a point into that healing ward, so... I mean, all things considered, it's not going bad.
Oh. One hero we haven't checked in on recently is this Morphling in the off lane. Ice definitely struggling a little bit. He's got his Tranks up, holding on to that Mango for now, but... Well, he's not finding too much farm, but he is level 5. And the off-lane Morphling, that is half the battle. No points in the Adaptive Strike, though. Actually going for a maxed out waveform.
I think he realizes that in this lane, it's not really going to be super useful to have a point into Adaptive Strike this early. And plus, you're playing against TA, so Morphling in general, as this build, you're not really going to break through Refraction too reliably. You're going to need Juggernaut Spin or something like that to really deal damage to him. So it's not like you're going to be ganking that. I suppose best case scenario, you stop like a Night Stalker or a Darkseer from ganking, you know, like you surge in or you get an Adaptive Strike on him while he's surged. That's probably the best case scenario for you.
Yeah, Super gets a little bit lucky here. At 6 minutes, he finds the bounty rune, and he will ding level 6. So now this gets easier, and perfect timing as Z-Talk wraps around the tier 1 tower. Kotaro doing a lot of damage here, but they can't finish him off. FY will rotate in, and they will keep him alive. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, they dive the Gyrocopter. Ice as well as Fenrir find a kill, and now they find Excel. They'll use the Arctic Bird to try and fly over the trees. Ice taking a lot of damage, but they can't quite finish him off. Out comes the Morph to Strength, and they will find the second kill. It's a double for Ice. He'll try to TP home. Z-Talk coming in, but just barely gets the kill.
He died in the well.
He actually dies in the well, yeah. Doesn't get much closer than that, Draskell.
This Undying should also be dead as well, I think.
He'll try to TP out. No way to stop. Oh, they got it. Yep, there it is. They find him. Thought he was going to be able to make it out.
Max Meld.
Oh, now back towards the mid lane. Super taking a lot of damage from the Gyrocopter. He will be able to use the Chemical Rage. Is it enough to stay alive? Just barely jukes and jives into the trees. And the Rocket Barrage won't be able to finish him off. Now FY comes in for the turn, but he'll pop his stick charges. He stays alive as now Z-Talk goes on the aggressive. It's a back and forth in the mid, but FY will be the one to fall. Now Z-Talk will just try to make the great escape. Super hits him with a level 1 unstable concoction. Pretty small stun duration, but there's support inbound. It's the Juggernaut. He's going to try and cut him off here. Burning joining the party, but it is still nighttime, so Z-Talk with his phase boots, quite speedy. Burning going to try to cut him off.
Now he knows, he's got that sixth sense, man. The Night Stalker sense.
When he sees this stack, yeah, he's going to suicide.
Okay. I like this. This is good.
Yep, buys his items before he goes down. Very smart. Also gets the intel on the stack.
Unknown are definitely applying the pressure early game to Vici here.
This is about 2,500 net worth lead. Not bad.
I'm just like amazed that the TA farms so well with this build. Like, sure, the whole point of getting Meld in the lane is so you can push the Alchemist back and, like, try to continue to get the farm.
Right.
But now he needs to make a transition. This is the part about maxing Meld that makes this build difficult to execute, is after your laning phase starts to break down.
Right.
Because you're not going to have the max point into Refraction to be able to farm reliably. You only have 3 instances of it now at level 8. He's going to get the second point in now. Only 1 point into Side Blades means it's much harder for you to reliably get Melds off, so you have to be, like, right on them.
Right.
To make sure that you're going to be getting that damage. And I suppose with a Surge and a Night Stalker walking around, it shouldn't be too difficult.
He did get 2 kills, or pardon me, 3 kills. He's 3-0-0 right now with this Meld Strike build, so it seems like it has been worth it. But meanwhile, in the Dire jungle, Super, he's going to take out this big stack. Of course, Vici know it's been scouted, so I like the timing here to try and finish it off. Out comes the Chemical Rage. He'll have another Acid Spray, and we'll see Super's farm here really jump up. Yeah, he could be in some trouble as well. There's your Omni Slash coming from Burning. He'll pop into a Blade Fury and chase him down. It is daytime, so nothing Z-Talk can do. Greedy, though, he's coming in, trying to find FY. Moving around in the trees. Burning will just TP out. FY lacking a TP scroll. Puts out a Frostbite, but he is in no man's land here. There is nowhere to go, and he'll just turn and do what little he can before biting the bullet.
He just gave up.
Stand to his death.
He's just sitting there like, yep, I am not making it out of this one.
Yeah, well, they trade 1 for 1. Night Stalker for CM. Still get a kill for burning, so not too bad here for Vici. And of course, it does make space to make sure Super won't be contested in taking out his stacks, even though it has been scouted by the TA with that trap down.
Yeah, I mean, this is just giving him a ton of time, which is all he really needs.
Mid lane, Fenrir getting dove. That meld strike just doing so much damage. My gosh. There was an Undying there.
Yeah, this TA is going to be a little bit of a problem. For sure.
Yeah.
And TA also is a very interesting matchup against Juggernaut, because in the early game, Blade Fury can be a great way of dealing with refraction, but when the TA eventually gets to BKB, then you don't have a good way of breaking through refraction anymore, and you can't really use Omni on a refracted TA because it just gets completely eaten.
Does nothing, yeah.
There is a point in the game where the TA will become very, very tough to deal with, and it could be a lot sooner than maybe Vici had wanted.
Well, a little stroke of luck here for Kataro. He gets a double damage rune. Actually won't even use it to clear out this stack, though. Would make his life a little easier. It's a nice triple stack here of Ancients for him.
He's pulling it the opposite direction that you normally see TAs pull it. Because you typically don't want to pull it towards the river because the enemy team can potentially see you. I mean, they got a ward there anyway, so...
Well, meanwhile, in the Radiant jungle, Gyrocopter, he's in a sticky wicket, a 1v3. Set up an easy kill here. Ice will get credit for that one.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I would like to see Unknown start the 5-man as soon as the mech is done.
Mid lane, committing on to Super here, but a big rotation from Vici, actually moving 4 heroes here. They will support Super and maybe try to find a pick off. Kataru will have to run. Katara O. Keep wanting to think there's a U at the end of that name, but it is indeed an O. Now they're going to intercept this stack, though, and this is kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they had the war there the whole time, so they definitely knew it was going down. They are even going to commit Tombstone to this, so they really want this.
I mean, there's a lot of low-health Ancients here. I think it makes some sense. Ice will go on the front lines, but he gets silenced by Z-Talk. Not to worry.
That's actually 5 heroes. You need your Gyrocopter as well to be here if you want to try to contest this, and he's bottom.
Yeah. No, Vici will get it.
Dire's bottom tower
and things have definitely plateaued a little bit here in terms of the gold lead that Unknown picked up early on in this game.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Very
attack.
minor lead at this point. Alchemist starting to get some momentum, now number 1 on net worth. Gyro, what's he working on here? His build's kind of all over the place. Looks like going for an early Helm of the Dominator, then probably into S&Y with that Elven Band.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. It's the standard Gyrocopter build, pretty much.
Oh, and up top, Greedy caught by Burning. That'll be a solo kill to the Juggernaut. Missed the beginning of that one, but...
He got Omni'd in then.
Okay, yeah. It's the only way that Burning's going to get a solo kill there, I guess.
Yeah, just really good timing from Burning. Realizing the creep wave wasn't going to be there until a little bit after the Omni ended, so...
Just completed his drums as well, so using that first charge for an additional burst of movement speed. Now it's Unknown. They want to contest the jungle. They have a little bit of vision in here. They know that the Alchemist is farming, but... Super will be a step ahead. He retreats before they can really intercept. And no kill come out there. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ice with a haste rune. Pressuring the Gyrocopter. Will get a TP reaction. And right back mid, Z-Talk. He's going to die between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers. Fenrir takes a silence. But support is inbound, and he'll be just fine as well. Unknown really want to be aggressive here in this night cycle, but having trouble finding the openings.
I think the biggest issue, again, is you need to make sure that Greedy gets to his mech. Like, you want the mech on the Darkseer, start bringing your Gyrocopter team fights. Like, Kataru's been the one who is mostly the aggressive player on the team so far. Like, sure, the Night Stalker has gone around a bit, Z-Talk's been trying to do what he can, but as soon as the mech is up, you can fight around cooldown. You have your Winter's Curse available already on Excel. It's not that late.
Just a couple hundred gold away. Super takes a meld strike in the mid. It'll dip him down past half HP, but there are a lot of heroes ready to support, and nothing the TA can do but head back to her side of the hill. All right.
If you're Vici right now and you're sitting relative terms of net worth to Unknown, you're feeling pretty happy with yourself. Like, you are the team who is supposed to get pressured early with this kind of a lineup because it is fairly greedy by nature. So Unknown need to try to get some objectives from this.
Oh, Ice mid. Those waveform back, but now caught by a silence. Call down as well as Winter's Curse comes out. They drop the Soul Rip, but it's not enough to keep him alive. They will lose their Morphling. He has picked up his Midas recipe, though. So all things considered, this off-lane Morphling still farming reasonably well. Still a good kill for Unknown here in the mid, and they may just try to pressure this tower. Darkseer, one creep kill away from that mech. This is the 5-man time.
Yeah, they know that they actually need to try to deal some real damage. Like, getting kills in the early game is great. Out-farming in the lanes is also great, but you gotta start to establish some kind of map control. Like, you don't pick Night Stalker and 5-man Wombo combo teams to just sit back and let an Alchemist and a Juggernaut farm their way to victory. Like, you need to try to pressure.
Yeah, I also like the warding here from Vici. They've got this Observer up on the high ground to look at the Ancients, and they've also blocked out the Ancients, so limiting the places where this TA can find some extra farm at this point.
Yeah,
Z-Talk, though, pressuring Super. He'll channel the Unstable Concoction. Gonna have to throw up pretty soon as he's dipping low. There is a lot of support from both teams coming in, but Super, he stuns himself. Oh my, Z-Talk gets the kill. Nice, Cold Embrace will keep him alive through the Omni Slash from burning, well, for a couple of seconds at least, but then they finish him off. Crystal Maiden gets credit for that one. Now they find the Gyrocopter. He was clipped by the Frost Nova. He won't commit for it, even though the Tombstone is down. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ice pings out a tower. He'll clear out a creep wave and start to pressure this lane. Kataro, oh my, he is in deep. He's got the invisibility rune on.
Here. There's no TP on burning. He starts killing creeps, he might actually just die.
Goes for the baby mud golems. I'm not going to find the
burning
opening.
has got like some
next level game sense here.
He just like randomly turns around to pull a golem out of the camp. Like, how weird is that?
Yeah.
Alright, it's gonna be enough to make Ataro decide against going for that kill, but
keeps him alive.
Yeah, the Alk didn't throw the stun because he was crippling feared, so he couldn't throw it.
Oh, he was silenced.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Z-Talk went in and threw a fear on him, so he couldn't do anything.
Good timing. Yeah, I didn't catch the silence there. Good call, Draskell. But now we've got a relic up on the Alchemist, so Super. Definitely a delayed Radiance timing. Looking at just shy of 16 minutes. Not bad, but not delayed, ideal.
But it's like, it's still pretty good.
It's still good, yeah.
If you consider how far ahead the TA was in the laning phase, Super has completely recovered that difference in less than 10 minutes. So that's why I was emphasizing the importance of Unknown trying to push and get some objectives going, because if you let Super have that space, even if the Juggernaut isn't farming that much, you can always just fall back on your Alchemist split pushing and delaying the game for almost an indefinite amount of time, just because of how fast the hero gets items in general. It's basically like a Naga Siren on steroids, because you just farm that much better in the early game.
Yep, and you've got that added benefit of the buffed up bounty runes. Looking at this net worth lead, it's Unknown still with a very minor lead of about 1,000. This is where Vici will start to turn up the aggression. They popped a smoke in their jungle, and now they're going to head forward. They get an Observer Ward down. They find Z-Talk. The Adaptive Strike connects. Super gets close to a full duration Unstable Concoction off, but reinforcements have arrived. They go right on to Ice. He's taking a lot of damage. Will pull the damage away from his team. FY with a freezing field, doing some decent damage. He'll get a full channel. Now the Winner's Curse comes out onto Super. Unknown running out of resources, but they get the second kill. It's a 2-for-0 so far. Burning trying to solo Kataro off to the side. Meanwhile, Fenrir left to his own devices. This is a huge fight for Unknown. It's a 4-for-0 all of a sudden. Super just headed for the hills, and they're going to dive him here. Kataro has a Mellowed Strike, connects. Super will fall. A 5-for-0 exchange as Unknown get the better of Vici Gaming. My gosh, Draskell, that's exactly what they needed.
That's actually nuts. So, a couple of things happened in that team fight for Vici that really made it unfavorable. First, they smoke into a team that, like, clearly has better team fight at this stage in the game. It's not even close.
And just the mech versus no mech advantage.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Like, they had to have known that Greedy had mech at that point in the game, and they smoke in very aggressively, maybe hoping to try to catch them off guard and not run into their whole team. But unfortunately, the positioning was perfect for them. Burning goes for an Omni on Kataro here. We are going to see Roshan fall in favor of Team Unknown, by the way.
Power of the TA, baby.
The TA, yeah.
Very nice.
But, like, he Omnis the TA melts. There's no detection down, because FY and Fenrir are pretty much on the other side of the team fight. The ulti coming in from the Crystal Maiden didn't really deal any damage at all. And Ice dies at the start of the fight before it really does much of anything.
Yeah.
So you're down a hero. You're fighting into mech when you don't have mech. You have an Alchemist with a naked Radiance and brown boots. Like, I use the word optimistic a lot, but that really was.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this gold graph now. It went from a pretty even game to a 7,500 net worth lead here for Unknown, about 5k experience. That was absolutely massive.
So Vici can still go for the long game here if they really want to, and stop trying to take straight up engagements, which at this point, I think they could go for another smoke if they wanted to, but I think it's extremely risky, given that the first one was pretty much a catastrophe. But if you want to go back and just let Super continue to farm and try to delay the game with the Manta style and potentially the Octarine core after that, I think that would be a safer method for now.
definitely feels like the play. I mean, both teams here getting some core items up. Gyrocopter will probably have enough for his S&Y after taking out this Ancient stack. Nice triple stack here for him. Dire have not been stacking their Ancients at all. They've been much more concerned about their jungle, where still some stacking is going about. Super just farming away, still sitting on his brown boots. So I think they'll be quiet for at least the next 5 minutes or so. Let Super get another item. He is level 11 now, so Chemical Rage is that much stronger. And he will continue to ramp up. Ice 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 with the Midas complete. He's got the point booster, so it won't be too long now before that Aghanim Scepter comes out.
And that's going to be when the clock kind of starts, I think, for Unknown.
Desolator up on TA, though, here, Draskell.
Dude, he's monstrously farmed. Like,
this is scary. He also has a Yasha? Oh, my.
Yeah, that was the build that he went. This is a little bit of an older take on the TA build. Back when people used to go for just sheer mobility.
Yep. Oh, down bottom. Yeah, we're going to see a tower exchange. Tier 1 for Tier 1, but Z-Talk will get dove behind it. Oh, not going to be able to get away. Will force Burning to use that Omni Slash. So was dead anyway. Force an ultimate. Nice juking and jiving there around the trees, though it did...
we call that space.
Nighttime. Yeah, exactly.
It's like 8th Omni space. It's fine.
Very nice. Yeah, and there's that S&Y up on the gyro. Yeah, this is like the heavy movement speed TA with Yasha drums and phase boots.
Yeah, I like it. When you're playing against a team that you don't really want to buy Blink against, which I feel is a pretty fair call, against like Blade Fury, CMLT, and then Acid Spray, which all eat through your refraction fairly quick.
Yep.
You just want to be able to run people down, hit them with a meld or two, and then just get the kill. Because realistically, the only person on Vici who has an escape mechanism is Ice Ice Ice. He can waveform, and that's it. Like, no one else has that I can run away, like, leap or blink capability.
Uh-oh, Gyrocopter down bottom. He finds Burning as well as FY. They know Burning doesn't have an Omni, and they want the easy kill on CM. Vacuum from Greedy will interrupt the TP. They get a nice easy pick on the support down bottom. Oh, nice rotation. About half damage comes out onto that Tier 2 tower, and they will start to counter-push themselves. So the creep wave still being intercepted here, so...
I mean, I don't really think you can contest Unknown in a 5 versus 5 scenario right now. Like, Burning needs more items. The TA will potentially either go for... I don't think Manta is really that useful here. He probably goes SNY BKB. That's my assumption. And he has another double damage. Wow. So for the next team fight, Vici need to avoid that. Do not want to fight into 2 live TA with BD. That is probably the least winnable fight I think that they can take at this stage, but again, they can let Super just continue to do what he's doing. He's already up to 2,000 gold after having finished bots. Like, this guy is basically printing the TA.
Oh, Ice 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 walks into the danger zone. They start to stack that Wombo combo. He waveforms away and just barely lives. He'll hop to the replicate in the mid lane. He TP's home.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
That was a winner's curse as well as a call down committed for that, and they still couldn't find the kill.
Well, I think that just goes to show how little damage they do without the TA in the area.
Yeah.
Like, if he was there, that definitely would have been a kill. Like, not even a question. I'm kind of just wondering, in regards to the TA, what the next item choice is going to be. Does he decide to finish the SNY? Does he want to go for a BKB a bit early? Because if you look at his inventory, a lot of the stuff that he buys is very cost efficient, but it's not inventory efficient, as in you're filling up your inventory very quickly. So you need to make the decision of, do I want to try to go for all mid-game items, or do I want to actually go back for a BKB? Do I want to try to go high ground in the next 10 minutes? Because I think that's probably the best shot that Unknown have of winning.
Yeah, they get that Tier 2 tower kill in the mid lanes. Oh, the Aegis just expires at the inventory, so Kataru needs to be a little careful here. He will back up. He has a haste rune in the bottle, so he will head back to safety. And they will kill this replicated alchemist here. Well, just about. Can they actually bring him down? He gets caught by the adaptive. Big call down. Kataru very low. The cold embrace not going to be enough to save him. They will get a counter kill on the Undying as this fight starts to break out. Burning, going aggressive onto Greedy. Burns the Omni Slash. Almost gets the kill on the Dark Seer and will finish him off with one more auto attack. 2 for 1 with Vici finding the advantage. And they're looking for more. Z-Talk in the tree line. Will go undetected, at least for now. They're pinging him out. They know he's in there. Can they find him, though? He doesn't have a TP scroll, and as long as they can find him, he should die. They're just going to burn him down with the Radiance. They're going to be here a while. There they go. They finally get the vision. Frostbite. Blade Fury. He's going down. 3 for 1. Vici, take a good fight.
That's a really big fight, because Unknown need to be the team trying to breach high ground in the next probably 10 minutes, maybe 15, if they can maintain map control and try to C8 Vici. But even in all the fights, where they've been winning and they've been trying to push towers and establish that map control, Vici have still been finding their farm. It's not like they're keeping the Juggernaut and the Alchemist down that much. They're still getting a decent amount. So it's starting to become a little bit worrisome if Unknown can try to seal the game. Because even as far as the draft goes, it's just fairly obvious that Unknown want to try to push. They want to try to fight as 5.
Yeah.
They're going to catch Burning with a ensnare here. I don't think they can kill him, actually.
Oh, now the turn back onto Greedy. The replicated Alchemist on his way in with some additional Radiance Burn. They really want to kill this Dark Troll Summoner, but all that extra HP is making him rather beefy. The Replicate's just going to chase him down. Nope. Okay. This is so annoying. It really is.
Tanky illusions, man.
Oh my. The Aghanim Scepter is out on Ice 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 though, so this is where that crazy power farm starts to begin, and they can really set their sights towards the late game. I mean, let's look at the goal graph. All that momentum from Unknown has been completely mitigated now after just one failed fight and all this farming.
Alchemist with Morphling is actually just disgusting.
And it's pretty gross.
You get so much money.
And Super is almost at his Manta now. He already has the Yasha. Wait, does he have it? He has it completed on the courier. He had the recipe already.
So in 5 minutes, Super goes from being about 1,500 net worth below the TA to almost 1,500 net worth higher than the TA.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
I don't really know how you're supposed to be able to keep up with this level of farm. It's getting really worrisome for Unknown. Like,
yeah,
they really got to try to finish the game.
Well, a BKB comes out on the Gyrocopter. Perfect timing for it because Burning has just picked up his Diffusal Blade to go with his Manta. A lot of synergy with this build. And of course, Diffusal was buffed pretty recently, so now this Jug can chase down pretty much anyone as long as he has charges left on that Diffusal.
Yeah, the big thing too is the Surge from the Darkseer. You're not going to really be able to get yourself out of fights. He's going to have multiple avenues of getting rid of Silence. He can even purge his own teammates if he wants to.
Yep.
So if he wants to get rid of Crippling Fear on Ice 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 or
a lot of utility here. Down bottom, Z-Talk caught by a Frostbite. FYL just burned the ultimate. Super using the BOTs, walks in, secures an easy kill on the Night Stalker. He'll be in the grave for 40 seconds, and now Vici assemble his 5 as they move towards this bottom tier 2 tower. Oh. Nice Manta dodge there on the adaptive.
I don't know if I like just that he finished that Manta.
Hanging out with his Soul Ring on the ground. I like it.
I mean, he always does that.
Yeah. Not sold on the Manta?
Yeah, for the TA, I feel like BKB is just a better item. Because if you think about it, you're spending 3,000 gold, 10 stats, and the ability to dispel what? Like, you can Manta dodge and Adaptive Strike, I guess, but if you have a BKB, you don't need to Manta dodge it because you're just magic immune.
Yeah.
It's still the point in the game where magic is enough of a reason for you to warrant buying BKB, especially because it's a 10-second BKB with a team fight that you know you need to win. Like, the next fight is Roshan. So if you want to try to take Roshan away from Vici, which I think if they don't, Vici should just have the advantage from then on out, if they don't already. Like, you need the 10-second BKB to just make your team fight as strong as it can possibly be, because that is what your team is built to do.
Yeah. Well, they still have the 10-second BKB on the Gyrocopter. They will smoke into the Roshan pit. Of course, with the TA Desolator up, they can kill Roche very quickly. But Vici are in the neighborhood. They're going to scout this out, and they've got an Alchemist Replicate on the way in. Now that's they'll channel up a stun. He stuns himself, unfortunately, but they just need to make some space here. Roche down to about half HP. We take a look at the dire vision. They don't have confirmation that they're in the pit. So of course, they did smoke in. Vici just going to hand this one over here, Draskell? It looks like it.
Radiant's
I mean, I think they don't really feel like they need to take the risk.
True.
Like, if you think about it, how are Unknowns supposed to go high ground, right? They need to win a team fight very decisively. Like, they need to team wipe you completely. People have to not have buybacks on top of it. And for now, the Juggernaut, Alchemist, Morphling, and the CM all have buyback. So even in the scenario that Unknown commit really hard to a high ground push and actually deal some significant damage to at least heroes, they're going to have 4 buybacks. And if you don't end the game right then and there, or at least take a set of racks, Vici are going to be fine with it. Because committing the buyback, sure, you're going to farm a little bit less, but you know in the long run, you're supposed to be taking it to the late game anyway.
Right.
So I'm thinking that Vici are still feeling alright. Even though this Aegis could be one of the only chances that Unknown has to really kind of seal this game.
Yeah. I mean, Aghanim's has just now come out on the Night Stalker. Blink Dagger also up on the Dark Seer. I mean, this still feels like a pretty good time to try and make something happen in this 5-man death ball. Also, Blink Dagger on the Winter Wyvern. This is it, man.
They
the stars
definitely
of the
can
line.
still do it. It's just... Can't stress how important it is for them to actually just try to fight. Like, push into the tier 2 top, push into the tier 2 bottom. Wherever you need to go, you just need to go. It gets really, really stressful at this point in the game when you don't have the team who has better late game. Especially up against heroes like Alchemist.
Yeah.
Because Alchemist just makes it such a nightmare to try to finish.
I like this build, this slight tweak here coming out from Super. He's, of course, going for the Octarine Core, has the Soul Booster up, but he stopped off for the Plate Mail just for a straight 10 armor. And
dude, even Ice has one. He's going Lotus.
It makes such a difference.
I really like the fact that he did that too, because some people opt to go for like Heart, for example, but this will most likely just end up being an AC.
Yep.
And it still gives it to the illusions anyway, like the aura follows them around, so you're going to be pushing a little bit faster on top of the additional armor that you're going to have just surviving Kataro here.
I thought, when you mentioned the Lotus, I thought Ice was working on it. He has a completed Lotus Orb here. Could be pretty big, but here we go. Unknown starting to siege the high ground. Kataru will pop the Manta straight away, and they will just back up.
I gotta say, out of everyone on this team, Kataru has really impressed me with his performance. Like, in the team fights, he played very well. In lane, he dominated. It was so convincing. And
really
sure,
impressive.
He went a little bit of a hyper-aggressive style where he max meld. Did work for the purpose, I think, that it was meant to.
Yeah.
If they end up going super late, I think Vici will probably just win based on lineup. But they do have a gyro. So it's not all...
Well, now it's Vici that choose to get aggressive here. Burning just recently picked up this Blink Dagger. He's ready to try to find someone to initiate on, also level 17, so that Omni Slash is maxed out. They find Kataro. Oh no, that's a wasted Aegis.
They gotta get to him fast. They let him die here. It's real bad news.
And they still have an Omni Slash as well. They were able to kill him just straight up. He pops the Manta, but it's not enough. TA will fall, and oh no, they're gonna find the Winter Wyvern as well. Cold Embrace will buy him a little bit of time, but that's all. He'll go down as soon as the Ice Cube expires. It's a quick 2-0. Vici, of course, finding the advantage there, and now Unknown up against the ropes. Oh, they're going to find one more. Gyrocopter in the jungle. That's a 10-second BKB, but Burning, he's ready and waiting to pull the trigger on that Omni Slash. Another easy kill here for the Dire side. Burning getting 500 gold for that pickoff.
That's one of the big reasons why Juggernaut's so good against Gyro in general.
Ooh.
Yeah, Ice really wanted that Adaptive Strike there. Not going to be able to find it, so Greedy will be able to get himself to safety. But Juggernaut matches up well against Gyro just because of when you're in isolated situations like that.
Yep.
If you eat a full Omni and the Juggernaut has even relative levels of farm to you and you don't have like Butterfly or something, you're going to get wrecked. It's just not a very nice time. So,
and now the Octarine Core comes out on the Alchemist. So this is when you get into that 100% uptime Manta Illusion scenario, and he is in full Nagasire mode.
I mean, honestly, we haven't even seen like the double Tombstone or anything like that. This is just Vici Gaming playing a comeback kind of style here. Because in the early game, and even the first real big team fight that broke out, it was still heavily favoring Unknown. I think this is just overall experience and his poise that has put Vici in this position. They understand that all they really need to do is delay the game just enough to get super to his core items, which now that he's hit, the game just got real hard for Unknown.
Yeah. I mean, you called this Morphling build, and early on, Ice didn't have a huge presence, but now he's actually pretty farmed. You look at him compared to the Dark Seer, and he's got a nice little lead there, and going for these utility items has really made a difference. Up top, Dark Seer gets soloed by the Juggernaut. Things are falling apart here for Unknown. After such a strong start, this game is beginning to unravel. Still another 4.5 minutes till Roche comes up. I feel like that is really their only hope at this point. Get third Roche, Aegis Cheese, and then take a good team fight.
The problem is, I don't know if they're even going to be able to do Roche anymore. Because the last time they did it, I think Vici were still kind of considering contesting, but then just said, you know what, it probably doesn't matter because it's still going to be really hard for them to go high ground. So we can just rely on buybacks instead of committing to a fight that we could potentially lose. And then that puts us in a position where if they fight us in our base and we have to buy back for that fight when they have Aegis, we could potentially lose there. But if we just play it safe, let them get it, wait for an opportunity to go for a pick, which they happen to find on the Aegis carrier, then we're in a fantastic spot. So now Vici, their only condition in which they lose the game is they get wiped don't have any buybacks, and then Unknown walk into their base and kill buildings. Like, that seems extremely unlikely at this point.
Yeah. Well, now the BKB does come out on the Templar Assassin. As you were talking about before, not really the ideal timing. If they had it in that last engagement when he had the Aegis, maybe could have made the difference to stay alive.
He had the money for a BKB as well, if he didn't buy Manta.
Yeah. Well, now they'll smoke his 5 and move towards the Roche pit. If they can catch anyone out here. Haste Rune could be picked up. Uh-oh, smoke on smoke action as Vici use one of their own. It'll get broken straight away. Ice 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 goes in aggressive, puts the Lotus Orb on himself. Just says, focus on me, guys. Now on the back side, there's that Wombo combo. Vacuum into wall, into call down, and Winter's Curse. Vici taking a lot of damage. They'll lose the Undying first. Burning just Omni slashing around, and they will turn it around onto the Night Stalker. Only a 1-for-1 to get things started. Not so bad for Vici after all. Ice 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 still alive on the back lines. Throws an adaptive out onto Greedy. He'll waveform across the trees. He'll stay alive for now. Super in the front lines doing a lot of damage. They isolate the TA and they'll bring her down. This is Vici's fight to take. They find the DS. And a vacuum will not be enough to keep him alive. That Frostbite locks him in place long enough to make it a 1-for-3. As meanwhile, at the tier 3 tower in the bottom lane, Super and Ice 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 isolate the Gyrocopter. They'll bring him down as well. Well, a noble effort from Unknown there, but just not enough, Drafter.
Yeah, I think this is probably just Rax. They're going to pop Glyph. The only buyback they have is on Greedy. For now, it seems like Vici are in a pretty good position to take this game number 1.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like it.
I gotta say, though, like, Unknown, they definitely showed that they can hang. You know, they can definitely play this early aggressive style. I think, honestly, a lot of the South American teams play hyper-aggressive, so this patch might suit them a bit. This Ice 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 is just casually walking towards the enemy well.
Just trying to zone them out here, make a little bit of space. This will be 2 lanes of barracks secured here for Vici Gaming, and now it seems like the ability for Unknown to come back is just not there. Gyro going to be in the grave for another 20 seconds, and this should be mega.
Alright,
there it is. GG.
Well, a valiant effort from Unknown in game number 1.
Absolutely.
I think they really just needed to focus on just go fight. Like, just go. You against this kind of lineup with Alchemist, you just can't let it go late. Because here's what ends up happening. Your TA, who had a phenomenal start, he goes for all mid-game items. We talked about it at like the 20-25 minute mark. It's like, look, you bought a Yasha, you bought drums, you got phase. That's 3
Radiant team ban.
Is to protect the raw target, so it's a very solid and stable opening for Vega Squadron. Whereas OG's opening has much more variance, much more possibilities, and a lot more strategies that they can actually go for.
Radiant team ban.
Well, another ban onto the Husker. Looking to
They
deny
banned
it.
out the Tusk, that was okay, but then they banned out Husker after they saw the Juggernaut ban. Pretty interesting.
Well, I guess you're worried about OG banning AA and then they insta-pick Husker. Well, they can pick Husker,
10
and you don't have a chance to
seconds
ban the
There's,
Husker.
there's still Slardar if they wanted to counter
That's true.
the Husker, and Vega is one of the few teams that also run Slardar on the safe lane. The most of the other teams run him on off lane, but Vega is a team that would run the Slardar on Pasha.
Well, it's got to be a top consideration. I like the Slardar works really well with Darkseid. It's very fast tempo, works well with the Iron Shell. Vacuum into a Slither and Crush, also pretty nice.
Yeah,
So
I think Slardar is a hero that fits every sort of situation in the current meta. He can be played in a slow-paced game. He's very good late game. He can also be played in a fast-paced game where you want to keep fighting early game. And he provides a lot of support in terms of early laning phase, because you can actually run around with
5
sprint.
seconds
It's actually
remaining.
ridiculously good. When I was at the house, I haven't tried playing Slardar so much, but when I
Reserve
came back
time.
home, I played him a lot, and I sort of understood that you need to get to the Blink Dagger timing that fast. He can actually provide your team so much more in the early laning phase when he's running around with sprint. Not many offlaners with minimal farm can actually set up kills.
Vega Squadron.
OG with a classic Moon pickup here. Can we?
Yeah, they are, they are gearing into a different direction now. They want to split push because Vega has a very strong
Radiant
team fight
pick.
opening, Darkseid plus Wyvern. So as soon as OGs see the two heroes, they realize that we can't really team fight that well. We want to split push.
You know,
So
I
they
saw
ban
the
out- they
Darkseid
ban out
Wyvern,
the
and I
Jack.
almost wanted to comment on this. Like, I see Darkseid Wyvern, I just think this is going to be a great anti-mage game. Like, it works so well against.
Yeah,
it's also good against the
their
Ember Spirit
idea.
in general.
Their idea of the game, how they want to play it. They want to
Yep.
split push. They remove the reason they remove the Juggernaut and the Gyro is not because of
Radiant
wanting a hero
team
like
back.
Husker. They want to prevent Vega Squadron from having too strong of a 5-man and a 5-man that comes too fast. So they want to be able to split push and get to the stage where they are always split pushing and Vega can't really force the high ground, because that's what Vega wants to do. They want to finish the game at a certain point, and right now OG has heroes that can actually deny that, because Prophet and AM can actually buy a lot of time, and with the vision from the Hawk, they can get key pick off for stalling the game. And
Radiant team pick.
but the Night Stalker would be quite a good counter towards the Hawk, because it reduces the vision of the Hawk by quite a bit.
And that's the thing, OG, as much as, yes, Rat Dota or split pushing is the core part of their draft, but they also have that pick-off potential where Raw into a Nature's Prophet TP, a Raw plus like an anti-mage can get a lot of kills, so it's not just about the split push, they've got great pick-off potential as well. And yeah, as you say, Vega look to counter, and Vega need to make sure they have
10
pick-off
seconds
potential of their
remaining.
own. The Night Stalker good at finding and securing kills as well. And we'll
5
see what
seconds
Vega's
remaining.
last pick is going to be on top of
wave
that.
clear though. OG, I think they need a support that has wave clear. A good support that are available right now are Bane, but Bane is good in the lane but doesn't really have wave clear. Those are the heroes that they play on the crit. Bane or Jakiro. Jakiro, I'm not sure whether it fits their lineup here, because they are not going to look to. I mean, you can split push with Jakiro. I've seen them do it, but they probably need more wave clear. Like Jakiro doesn't instantly clear the wave apart from with your ultimate. The other two spells doesn't clear the wave very quickly. So I'm not sure if they want to go for that. It's good follow up with the Beastmaster, but not good wave clear. They need a support that has wave clear. Rubik has wave clear. I guess that's the only support that comes to my mind now. I mean, Keeper of the Light is great, but for wave clearing, but it's not very good versus Night Stalker.
What else do we get here? OG. They're running down the clock a little bit here for their last pick. They do have that 1-0 lead, so a bit of a buffer here coming into game number 2.
There's no clear good option here though.
Well,
Yeah, they go for like
not
Bane
wave
is just
clear.
try-
It's the Bane you mentioned that would be good.
It's
I'm gonna go for some lane dominance.
It's good, yeah, like you mentioned, for the lane, and hopefully because you win your lane, you delay the 5M push. That's generally the idea of the hero, and obviously you can get pickoffs against the Ember. It's not
Vega
so
don't have the
easy.
scariest 5-man push either. They haven't got a pushing lineup at all right now. They've got a
What if
good
they go
fighting lineup,
for-
but it doesn't actually push towers.
10 seconds
They need a mid
remaining.
laner that can push like Dragon Knight. I'm not sure if they want to go for that. Their lanes
5
right now are
seconds remaining.
pretty solid. Wyvern plus Ember Spirit, NS Darkseer. NS will be roaming
Reserve
around
time.
to help the Darkseer and help the mid lane. And Darkseer will do just fine in the laning phase. He's probably not going to get too much of farm because it's against AM, but he's going to get decent amount of experience.
Yeah. They can run Ember mid because it is a Beastmaster mid as well, so it's not a terrible
true.
matchup
That's
for
that's
him.
true.
but
That's true.
More if they want to pick something like a Slaughter, if they want to get some more catches and more fighter here that's good against the
I
anti-mage.
like that.
and-
I like that too. Even you can even lane the Slada versus the Beastmaster. That's a fine matchup for
Yeah.
Slada.
Yeah.
You
agree.
can just use the sprint to kill the ball every time he summons it. And when the Beastmaster doesn't have a ball, it's very hard for him to lane against Slada. The Slada has very good damage and armor in the laning phase. And the Crush is really potent versus another melee hero. So those are the options that they have that are really good versus the anti-mage.
Yeah. There's still a TA in the pool as well, though. I don't know, TA against Beastmaster in general is not amazing. Like, if you ever get roared, the Necro books in the board just mean you're generally just
It's
getting
not
crippled too
so
much.
reliable. Like Slada or Dragon Knight could be
Yeah.
much more reliable for their team because they want to
Yeah,
end
I
the
like
game
the
at a
DK pick
specific
as
timing.
well.
And they have Iron Shell on Dragon Knight, which is also something that's very strong. So I could see those two picks working for them. Even maybe if they want a stronger lane dominator, they can go for like a Viper or Razor. You can push and end the game. Stuff like that. They have a Mech Carrier on Darkseer, so they just need heroes that can siege the tower. I see Viper, Razor or Dragon Knight being good tower siegers. But obviously the Slaughter could still work because you kill heroes very fast and it's really good versus AM.
Yeah, if you pick Slaughter, you're not pushing towers, but you
10
can just get a
seconds
lead
remaining.
from fighting, getting kills, getting map control, and then take
5
towers split
seconds
slowly, but
remaining.
you're not as worried about the split push with a Slaughter. So we'll see. Luna gets picked up. They're going to
Yeah,
go
this
for a
is
bit
the
of push and
push.
late game. Yep.
Oh, well, I don't know about Luna's late game though. I feel Luna's late game is just not so strong compared to AM. It's
Yeah,
not
and-
comparable even to AM.
You're against a team who's just going to split you all across the map, and that's going to be
And
something
you're
Luna cannot
an
deal with.
Easy pickoff for the Prophet plus the Beastmaster. It's they have so much map presence because like Beastmaster would have Hawk and you have Treant scouting everywhere. And then when you get bots on the Beastmaster, it's gonna be very difficult for Luna to push too far unless he has backup. All these heroes are really good at shutting down Luna and catching their Bane, the Beastmaster Raw, Prophet. So not sure how well the Luna will work. I think it's more focused on getting their early game rolling. When they have Eclipse, they want to just keep grouping up Eclipse plus the Aura, the Luna's Blessing on Pasha. You want to be able to take as much towers as you can and try to get Roche. They don't really have the best lineup for Roche, but they have to try at some point after they get map control. But we'll see how they actually play this out. But it's gonna be Vega having to play the fast-paced game, whereas OG is gonna try to slow the game down.
Yep. Early TPs come out. Mag TPs mid. Gets on a sentry, it looks like, to block the pull through.
Wow, does this
It
block?
must block, otherwise there's no reason to use it.
I've never seen this
Nope.
mod before actually.
Brand new for me as well. We're in for a new warding lesson
This is
from
in
Vega. Meanwhile, Treant's going
you learn
out. and-
something, Parker. You learn something every time,
30
Parker.
seconds to
Oh, yeah.
battle.
Oh, look at the lead. 2 CS on the side of Vega. They are off to a good start, Winter. Kappa. As you would say, Kappa. Well,
Oh,
so early tree
every small
scouts.
bit
and-
counts. That's what I would say.
Yeah. We'll see how the lanes unravel.
So,
Looks like
one
Mag
lane
will just be in
apiece.
the offlane on Darkseer, and looks like fairly standard lanes from both teams going to be coming out.
The battle begins.
Yeah, I think just very standard, and it's gonna be up to how Vega actually dictates the play, because they need to be dictating the play, whereas OG is gonna try and maybe get pickoffs with their Beastmaster and the Prophet to slow down the pace for AM to farm. So we'll see how Vega actually decides to move around in the early stages. Once they get the mech on Darkseer, that is their timing to actually 5-man mech plus level 6 on Luna, then they're gonna look for towers everywhere.
Well, early on, Crit just comes mid with a brain sap. 70 mana brain saps. That's a
This
happy
has-
support life.
Man, this has been the biggest change on support Bane.
Yeah.
Being able to actually spam the brain sap 3 times in the laning phase at level 1.
Oh, more than that. Don't you get? You
Oh,
get 4.
miracle! Oh, 4?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but yeah, 4 actually.
That's before you've been
My
using your
bad.
clarity.
My math sucks. It's for.
No, you-
Sorry, guys.
It's alright. That's what I'm here for, Winter. I'll make sure you're not making those mistakes.
I'm actually not the main lead here. Sorry,
Yeah.
my math
Dude,
sucks.
I've had Fogs here. Fogs has been here the last couple of weeks, and he's been talking about this Bane like non-stop about how good it is with the brain saps. He's like four brain saps.
You know, 30 minutes, it feels like the late game.
Ice was actually massive that game. He was huge. He had Midas,
Vici
he had the better
Gaming's
part of an
turn
Octarine
to
at the end of the
bat.
game, a casual plate mail, and then an Aghanim's.
No, he had the full Lotus.
Oh, yeah, he had a Lotus on top of that.
Yep.
Jesus, he had a lot of
Lotus, Ags, and almost an Octarine plus the Midas. As the offlane Morphling,
10
who was
seconds
solo
remaining.
the entire game pretty much. It was really insane.
Yeah, I don't understand how we
5
got that much,
seconds
but I
remaining.
guess that's what happens when you get that trio of heroes. You just happen to get a ton of farm and then eventually win the
Reserve
game.
time.
So,
We've got a draft, baby.
yeah, for this match, we are going to head into the draft.
All right,
Radiant
well,
Shadow Team
Radiant
taken out
team
again.
yeah, Vici will just rinse and repeat. No big surprise there. This time,
Vici
Unknown will
Gaming's
ban out the
turn to
Alchemist
ban.
right away. A little bit of respect there.
I mean, it's kind of funny that they banned it out, even how well the TA did last game. Like, Kotaro, like, just decimated that lane. Maybe harder than I've ever seen a TA win that
Yeah.
matchup. And then
10
they just
seconds
couldn't
remaining.
quite get everything together to breach the high ground when they needed to. That was
5
really the kind of
seconds
the
remaining.
story for me is they had a pretty good stranglehold in the early game. The first real big team fight, they like 5-0'd
Reserve time.
Vici, and I was thinking, okay, they actually can do this.
Mhm.
They can win this game. They can go take it, take Rosha and get the tier 2s down and just pressure the map. But it never really felt like it got to a point where they were actually like containing Vici. They were
Radiant
always
team
finding their
back.
farm. Like at the very least, Burning and Super were always off somewhere just finding something for themselves, and
Right.
maybe the support suffered a bit, but even Ice managed to get away with a lot that game. So
Yeah.
this time around, not sure if Unknown want to do something similar.
10
Yeah.
I would love to
seconds
see them pick
remaining.
TA again, because I honestly think that he played a great game in
Yeah.
game number 1.
5
Last game,
seconds
Fenrir
remaining.
was just sort of the sacrificial space creator in
He
a lot of
didn't-
regards. He was
he didn't
0
really
and
do
6
much,
and
yeah.
just kind of ran around and helped to deal with pressure, and he was just a walking tombstone, basically. And then at the end, he had a mech, and that helped a little bit.
I mean,
but-
heck, in the beginning of the game, all he really did was give the TA kills, because they were playing like
Yeah.
2v1 mid, right? And then Kotaro just walks up and is like, whatever, I got max meld at level 7, you're just dead.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, Vici banned out the Queen of Pain, and Unknown think about it and opt to take out the Doom. It was their
Radiant
second
team
ban in
picked.
game number 1, a hero they really don't like to play against, and Vici will change it up. They'll go with the first pick Slardar, most likely for Ice in the offlane.
I like the slider opening. It leaves you open to a lot of different things that you can do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be offlane. It can be core, it can be offlane, it can be support. It's a very ambiguous hero. You don't
Mhm.
have to set it in one particular
Is the
place.
support Slardar really something to be feared?
I don't know about support.
10
It's less
seconds
likely,
remaining.
I think, than a 1 roll or a 3 roll.
Yeah.
But it is always
5
possible.
seconds
It just
remaining.
depends. Sometimes you see a niche situation where you go, okay, we can actually move our Slardar
Reserve
to
time.
a different role. We don't have to put him in one particular place, but
Right.
it just leaves you the freedom. That's the most important part.
Absolutely. What do Unknown want to go for here? Last game they opened with the Gyrocopter Winter Wyvern, so very early out of the gate, you kind of knew what they wanted to do in terms of looking for mid-game team fight presence.
Yeah. I would like to see them... They're not going to pick Dazzle now, at least ban it in the second phase. Because I think Dazzle Slardar is just a disgusting combination that you should pretty much never give away.
Yeah, we talked about it in our pregame a little bit. The natural synergy with all the physical damage and the minus armor, and yeah. Also, Slardar just has issues with initiating, taking a lot of damage, and can be susceptible to getting blown up. So just the nature of having a shallow grave to get him that get out of jail free card definitely come in handy.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And also, we were doing a little bit of research onto Unknown before we actually got into this game, and you brought up the fact that they'd actually picked Abaddon in the
Radiant
past.
team picked.
It's actually very good against Slardar,
Yeah.
because Aphotic Shield is a fairly low cooldown. You can remove the amp just
Vici
about as
Gaming's
often as it's
turn to
applied,
pick.
But as we are going to see this very aggressive opening from Unknown, not really surprising given the way they played game number 1. And given the fact that they're Radiant, I also think that these kind of heroes are conducive to just being on that side of the map and being able to kind of crush your laning phase.
Absolutely. Definitely fits their playstyle. Like you mentioned before, this is a patch that fits the playstyle, these kind of South American teams that just really like to bring it to you and be super aggressive. And with that, Vici will grab Lich for their first support.
Interesting that they actually pick Lich instead of banning it. I know that if it's a dual offlane, it's obviously going to be strong. But the one thing about Lich is that he's very susceptible to kind of this early game 5-man aggression.
Remaining.
Right.
You're really just picking him to win a lane. Ice armor is always going to be
5
useful for
seconds
sure.
remaining.
But it's more of that hero that you just don't want to play against as a Slardar, I think.
Reserve time.
Instead of, we just want to pick it ourselves. So I'm wondering if they had something else in mind for putting that Lich with another hero rather than just the Slardar.
I mean, Lich Doom is that duo that's all the rage on this patch. I'm trying to think of other really scary Lich duos that have become prominent.
I mean, anything with Lich is good. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, he makes any lane good just by sacrifice
team
and just by
back.
having pretty much infinite mana to harass. And Ice Armor, even in the earliest
Vici
stages of the game,
Gaming's turn to
it's
bat.
very hard to try to fight aggressively into it because it's not really
Right.
just about the armor, it's about the slow that you get whenever you try to hit. It's just so frustrating to play into. So now getting into the ban phase here, round 2, Husker
10
gonna be taken out
seconds
from Vici,
remaining.
which I find interesting because
it's kind of an odd ban, but it fits that aggression we've been
5
talking
seconds
about.
remaining.
Can
he's also
definitely-
a very good laner.
yeah.
Radiant team.
I just
back.
think that Husker is very weak to Slardar. The one thing that I have to go and kind of scratch my head about, because amplified damage just obliterates Husker.
Yeah, that's his big weakness. He's really good against magical damage, but heavy physical, he just
10
can't.
Yeah, you actually just
Seconds
punch
stand
him
up against
and
it.
he dies.
Yeah, that the one tool that really lets you man fight the
5
Huskar.
seconds remaining.
And now that Wisp gets banned, completely ignored in game 1, which I was really surprised,
Reserve
because
time.
both these teams do play Wisp, at least occasionally. And this go around, Vici will take it out of the pool.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that Dazzle ban anymore after having seen a Lich. Like, sometimes when you're picking a Dazzle, you're going to go for, like, the full 5-man lineup. But if you don't have, like, a initiation type hero
Radiant team pick.
in one of the supports, then picking Dazzle is very unlikely. So you're not going to see, like, Lich Dazzle together very often, unless your cores are the ones who are going to be making the space and setting up for the kills, you know?
Right.
So I don't think that Vici will go for that, and it also means that Unknown don't have to burn a ban on it, which is why they take out the Gyro and the Lina instead.
I mean, do you think Unknown could look for the Dazzle themselves?
It is possible, but it pretty much means that Tusk
10
would have to
seconds
automatically
remaining.
offlane in that situation.
Right.
Because I think Tusk's support is weaker than
5
Tusk
seconds
offlane,
remaining.
and I think that Undying support is okay, like it's passable.
I mean, we saw it work in game 1.
Yeah, I
Reserve
mean,
time.
Fenrir, the poor guy, he was the martyr for the team, but it ended up working out, so I'm sure he's fine with it. But for now, Unknown looking at
They're chewing through this reserve time, man. They're really
Yeah.
thinking about where they want this draft to go. Makes me wonder if they're just not sure what to do
10
against this
seconds
opener exactly
remaining.
with Vici, or if they're still trying to decide how they want to approach this game, if they
5
want to go for
seconds
early
remaining.
mid-game aggression again, or do something a little more focused towards the late game. But
Vici
that answers that
Gaming's
question.
turn to pick.
Third
Okay.
pick, Death Prophet.
You know, I love this hero against Slardar. Now, it's one of those situations where the heroes kind of counter each other. But if you think about it, Slardar's mode of initiation typically is either sprinting in or blinking in. If you have Exorcism on when the Slardar blinks in, more often than not, he is the only target that is in range of Exorcism at that given point because he's the initiator.
Right.
He's the first
10
one in.
seconds
So the
remaining.
first thing that comes to my mind is you get obliterated by spirits.
5
They just
seconds
do
remaining.
unreasonable amounts of damage, and they continually buffed level 1 Exorcism for like 3 or 4 patches in a row.
Reserve time.
So now at level 1, you get 8 spirits.
It's pretty good.
That's not even considering Witchcraft, which adds spirits to Exorcism every single rank.
Yep.
So, I mean, this hero is strong. And a lot of the South American teams have run it in the past, so...
She's very... she reminds me of Brewmaster in the sense that those early ults are so important. You can't
They are.
afford to have missed ults in the sense that you pop it and then die right away, or you don't get any objectives. That is the crux of this hero. If you can make the team fights work and utilize the Exorcism to find kills or find objectives or make space, she's really powerful. But if you can't do that, then she seems to kind of fall off. That's
It's
my
very true.
take.
I mean, it's a long cooldown. It's a 2 minute and 15 second cooldown, I think.
Yep,
Or 2 minute and
145.
25.
Yeah, it's long. It's
So, like
it
you
doesn't
said,
scale.
you got to try to get something out of it whenever you pop it, but at level 7, I think you have now 12 spirits. Whereas, think about this for a second, right? Originally, it was 4.
10 seconds remaining.
Okay? 4. That
pretty
is
insane.
awful.
5
Exactly
seconds
like the
remaining.
Slardar boss we were talking about
Yeah.
in game 1 of how he has gone from, okay, this spell kind of stinks, to
Radiant
maybe it's a little
team
bit too
pick.
strong now. And who knows, maybe will Death Prophet come back in this major? Will she be
I
the
think she
unsung hero?
actually is so good in this patch because
Okay.
if you think about the other heroes that are picked so frequently, let's just take Unknown's draft as an example. Undying and Tusk. These two heroes can set up fights whenever. And they're even going to
Vici
pick Venno on
Gaming's
top of this.
turn
So
to
this is
pick.
a little bit of a deviation from the norm and how they're going to be running Venno. Because it looks to me like it's going to be core.
It has to be, I think.
So core Venno, mid Death Prophet. I want to see how this plays out because personally, I think that right now Vici don't have the tools to fight into Exorcism. And honestly, Winter's Curse I don't really see being that useful against these heroes because nobody does any right-click damage.
10
Yeah.
seconds remaining.
You're just looking at a bunch of heroes who are, okay, I'm going to drop Plague Wards. I'm going to pop
5
Exorcism.
seconds
I'm gonna drop
remaining.
Poison
And then, like,
Nova,
yeah, like,
Tombstone. Yeah,
Tusk and
it's-
Undying just don't punch you that hard, so
Radiant
all things
team
considered, it doesn't
battle.
really seem that scary.
that is wild. And now Vici, they go for the Tiny. And of course, Wisp has been banned out, so it's not a Tiny Wisp combo. Is this just a burning Tiny for the safe lane? I feel like I've been
10
watching...
seconds
too
remaining.
much Sexy Bambo is coming to mind here, that off-lane Tiny.
5
But,
seconds
I mean, what seems
remaining.
more likely here?
Are they going to go back and pick up something like a Dazzle if they're going to be running that Venomancer as a core? Or
Yeah.
they need to pick something that can protect the Death Prophet because they have very little in the way of disable.
Exactly.
So they need something that's either going to help their 5-man Death Ball or they need something that's going to protect the Death Prophet.
I feel like this last pick from Unknown has to be something that pulls the team fight together. So I was just going to say, they have very few disables right now. And
10
aside from Venomous
seconds
Gale, I mean,
remaining.
that's the big problem with Tiny, is getting kited, getting locked down, and getting those auto attacks off. If he's not caught by the Venomous Gale, he'll have
Vici
fun,
Gaming's
except
turn to
Viper
pick.
has now come out. So there you go,
So
Team
it is
Poison.
support Venno, right?
Well, I guess it could still be support Tusk and support Undying.
This has got to be,
But-
first off, the greenest team I have ever seen.
Yes.
You do not see teams with this, like, many different kinds of greens that often.
It's not often you see Venno and Viper on the same side.
What is happening? It's mid-tiny.
Okay. You know, that thought crossed my mind, but I instantly just nixed it as just...
Well,
Wow.
they're gonna. This is what I assume is gonna happen, right? They're gonna send Ice 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 to the off lane. They're gonna do Lich Tiny mid, and then they're gonna do Winter Wyvern Medusa safe lane.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, right? Like Death Prophet is a pretty hard hero to beat in lane just because of spam. Like Witchcraft and Crypt Swarm make you pretty formidable. You're not really gonna get ganked by the lineup of Vici Gaming. So what I assume is gonna happen is they're just gonna stick Lich mid to keep the Death Prophet down, try to prevent Exorcism from being too much of an early game problem. Or wait a minute, is it position 1 Death Prophet?
I guess.
Because Kataro's playing Viper right
Yeah,
now.
so it'll be
10
Viper
seconds
mid.
remaining.
I think
So
it
they're-
is going to be safe lane DP.
They might be assuming that it's a
5
dual lane mid, in
seconds
which case they
remaining.
would want the Death Prophet to dodge, I guess.
Right, so
Because the
she'll go
Death Prophet
safe
needs
lane,
levels.
and then she'll have a solo matchup up against the
I don't know,
Slardar.
man. This is really weird.
So maybe Unknown will just go for the aggro tri-lane here with a Venno,
Prepare for
Undying
battle.
Tusk. I mean, there's a lot of kill potential there if that's the route they want to go.
I just want to see what the hell the lanes are going to be.
Wow. Well, the Vici side will be somewhat more predictable here. Slardar will head to the off lane. FY will head up top, and it looks like, yep, Burning will take Medusa and head to the safe lane. So I think you were right with that dual lane mid, at least to get things started with Lich and Tiny.
Oh no, they are going to put Death Prophet mid. They're just, maybe they just don't want to play Death Prophet on
Yeah.
Kataru.
Now, Unknown is one of these teams where their 1 and their 2 and their 4 and their 5 are pretty interchangeable. They don't have locked roles in terms
Yeah.
of who does what. So it is a little bit difficult to predict based on which player has which hero. Safe lane Viper. Interesting.
30 seconds.
Well, he'll
to
definitely get
battle.
a lot of farm down here, that's for sure.
Yeah, if he's against the Slardar, it won't be too bad.
But I worry about this DP's ability to handle this dual lane mid.
I mean, I was worried about the first game, and I was proven pretty wrong in the sense
No,
that
that's true.
Unknown had a very solid laning phase. If they can do the same thing with this lineup, this is a very different kind of beast to deal with. It's like running into you with Plague Wards and Gale, Poison Nova, Exorcism. They just
battle
deal
begins.
so much damage by being alive. Like, that's... like, being alive just
a good way
hurts
to put it.
Vici. Yeah, it's just like, okay, I'm alive, you're taking damage.
Yeah. What an interesting draft here. This is...
And how are you going to kill Tombstone when you have to walk into a Poison Nova and Exorcism? Like,
Yeah.
that just seems terrifying. Why are there 3 people mid? Vici are just like...
This game has
everyone's
already
gonna
devolved
help block,
into
you know?
chaos. Yeah. Okay.
Alright,
So it's Undying Death Prophet mid for the Radiant. FY will start off with the Arctic Burn just to try and push him back a little bit. There will be some support. Super hasn't skilled anything quite yet, but Decay from Z-Talk will steal a little bit of strength and push him back. It's a dual lane in the mid on both sides of the coin.
Yeah, we knew the dual lane was coming from Vici, but I suppose if you're going to have the situation, you kind of have to put the Undying there as well.
The dual lane we were thinking, though.
Yeah, I thought
assuming
Lich
it would be a
would be there.
Lich. And oh, Ice. Look at all of this Toxin down bottom, so much slow. They won't quite find the kill. They bring him down low, but he will eat a tango and survive. Now, Veno Viper in the safe lane. This is disgusting.
It actually is disgusting, literally and metaphorically in this case.
Yeah.
It's two, like...
This is what I think of as the anti-Merlini lane. His 2 least favorite heroes in the same lane.
I mean, I can understand Viper, but why you gotta hate on Veno?
I don't know.
I mean, he's a little bit boring to play.
He doesn't like the idea of a hero that presses R and then suicides. He says it's just stupid.
Alright, well, what about
His
a hero
words,
that
not mine.
presses R and deletes another hero from the game? Because that's pretty much what Doom does.
Yeah, and Necro. Alright, here we go. Burning. He'll get initiated on. Just caught by the Ice Shards. We'll go for that early point in Mana Shield and Mystic Snake. I'm always curious to see what build Medusas go for early on, because I feel like there's a lot of different ways you can approach this hero.
I think you just max Mystic Snake and Shield, honestly.
Okay, so you think Max Snake is the way to go here and not the stats build?
I mean, the stats build's okay. I just feel like you need the survivability of having the max shield. If he wants to go like full defensive, he could max shield and get stats. But having the Mystic Snake also means that you can steal mana in lane, which does add to your overall health anyway, if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. This is a scary duo lane, though, and they'll go right in onto Burning. He pops the healing salve, but out come the Ice Shards. Burning in a lot of trouble here, but can they actually secure the kill? The Arctic Burn from FY, slowing them into oblivion. Burning will turn, throw out that Mystic Snake to steal a little bit of mana. He will survive the onslaught, and it looks like FY will be able to make it back to safety near his tower. Z-Talk losing his decay stacks. It actually misses right there. And Greedy will walk through the tower, so close but no cigar, as looks like Viper did intentionally suicide there in the jungle.
No, he didn't suicide in the jungle. He died in lane of creeps.
Oh, he died into creep. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, he just died.
My bad. Oh, Courier mid. Fenrir going to wrap around. He'll find a Courier with a bottle on it.
Oh,
huge pick there for the Lich.
That hurts bad. That hurts real bad. The Death Prophet is, I think, the most important hero on this lineup for the early game. Like, you need to get your Exorcism going, you need to get good farm, you need to become tanky.
And part of that good farm is being able to crow/refill the bottle and spam out those Crypt Swarms.
Yeah, no doubt about that. This is, well, he got super pretty low. He does have his bottle now.
I mean, he's having a pretty good time in the lane. We'll see if he can keep it up in the next 2 minutes before his Courier comes back. So, how did Viper die down here? I'm a little surprised.
I think he was trying to commit to Ice pretty hard, going for a kill, and then ended up tanking a couple of tower shots, and then just ran away and died to creeps.
Yeah, Ice. Getting some okay experience. He is halfway through level 4, but farming is definitely a difficulty. Being aggressive against the Viper, though, kind of pump fakes the Slitherine Crush there.
Well, the one thing to note is that Viper does kind of need levels in the early game, because you need Corrosive, Nether Toxin, and Poison Attack all together to really get your laning phase going. And Vici with some more early rotations here is Fenrir and Ice, making their way through the woods, looking for that Death Prophet. Oh, if he gets caught, he will get dove and die.
Yeah, she doesn't see it coming. There's the sprint from Ice around the backside. Slithering Crush as well as Frost Nova. That's an easy kill. First Blood goes the way of the Slardar. Very nice for Vici here. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, FY in a little bit of trouble. Will turn with Arctic Burn. Almost finishes off the Tusk, but he goes into the Snowball. Wand charge is not quite enough. Burning will come in for that one arrow to get the kill. A 1-for-1. Not too bad for Vici, actually. Medusa getting a freebie.
I mean, this is the start that Vici needed.
Yep.
If you lose your laning phase to what Unknown have, I think it's extremely difficult to win the game from that point because they have insanely good deathfall potential.
I think they may try something for Z-Talk here. Nope, he'll just retreat back to safety.
He's
Ice,
wiggling in.
Does he want to go in? Yeah, there we go. Connects with a slithering crush. Snowball forward on 2. Burning getting low, and it's Ice that actually dies first. They'll trade 1 for 1 though. Deuce getting another kill. And even though they lose the starter, I feel like that's still not that bad of a trade. Burning the big breadwinner out of this whole exchange in the top lane.
I'm totally okay with giving my Medusa early game kills. I mean, he's almost level 6. It's 5 minutes in.
Yeah,
he's got treads. He's got Bassi done.
He's feeling pretty good.
I want to know what item build he uses. I don't think I've ever seen a Burning Medusa game, actually. Like, alive, at least.
Yeah. I wonder... Not really a Lincoln's game.
It's never a Lincoln's game.
Down bottom, Viper, yep, he'll get picked off. Power of the Slardar Lich, man. Even a tanky hero like Viper, there's just so much slow, and if once he connects with the stun, it's really difficult. Now Excel, he's going to find himself in a world of hurt. Ice goes slithering on in, slithering crush. Fenrir will take some decent damage here, but they should be able to get this kill on the Veno. Ice just needs one more poke with that trident, and he'll chase him down. 6-2 as Vici take control of the early game.
It's getting a little... They're really going to need their Death Prophet to get some objectives with the first couple of exorcisms, or at the very least try to win a team fight or 2.
Yeah.
I think with the level 1 exorcism being much stronger now, there is potential you can just use it to fight if you want to try to stop Vici from just running at you. Because it seems like Ice in his rotations, they've all been successful so far. Even if he's trading his own life, he's still finding something.
Yeah.
And that's really all Vici want to do at this point. Just make the early game chaotic for Unknown. Because we talked about their lack of disables. That's pretty much what Vici are exploiting. It's like, okay, you can't stun us when we have a Slardar and a Tiny who can just kill you in stun.
I mean, I look at games like this as just perfect evidence of why Ice is hyped up so much as a player. This is such a difficult safe lane to go up against, and instead of just sitting in the lane or getting picked off, he's made things happen elsewhere. The Slardar at level 3, level 4, rotates mid. He just rotated to the top lane, and now all of a sudden, we're 7 minutes in. He's level 6, he's 2-1-2, and he has made so much out of this very difficult lane.
It's just realizing the shortcomings in the game and realizing what you can do to circumvent that problem.
Yeah.
It's like, what's my problem? Okay, well, my lane sucks. I got 3 points into sprint at level 6. I got Slithering Crush. My movement speed is extremely high. I'm just going to run at people.
Let's find some kills, man.
Like, even if he doesn't end up getting a kill from his rotation, he still either secures farm for the lane that he's going to and create some space.
There's a big rotation mid here, Draskell. 4 heroes going in on the Super. It'll be greedy to start it off. They will follow up with some damage, but a huge stun, huge toss. Now Ice is on his way in. 3 very low heroes. Z-Talk will try to commit on Super behind the hero, but Death Prophet's already gone down. Excel looks like he'll fall as well as FY connects with a couple Arctic burn charges here. Greedy will make it away with a nice set of ice shards, and while all that was going on, Z-Talk did manage to find the kill on the Tiny, but Vici make the most out of this here, and it's not even over yet. Ice, he's still diving past the tier 2. He's slithering. Greedy will hit him with a walrus punch. He misses the crush. Oh no. Ice will fall after that Greedy dive. Very well played by Greedy, though.
That was greedy of Ice.
Yes.
Just diving at tier 2. But you can tell he's feeling pretty confident right now in the way that the early game is kind of rolling out here for Vici.
Yeah.
And I mean, he should be, because Burning is just free farming up a storm.
Yeah, that was all space created. Ooh, hops to the other side of the ice shards. Could have potentially been a kill here for Greedy if he was on the other side of it, but now Burning will just pop his mana shield and slither back to safety. A lot of slithering heroes this game, Draskell.
A lot of tails, a lot of wings.
A lot of wiggling.
Not a lot of feet, actually. Alright, so who has feet? Tusk, Undying. Tiny, I guess, technically has feet.
Yeah, sure. Oh, down bottom, Tataru, he's going to get initiated on and pops a Viper Strike, but it's not going to do a hell of a lot. That'll be another easy kill, and this is like we talked about, where Slardar is just so damn strong. Minus 10 armor is just ridiculous. You know, you don't think of Lich as a scary right clicker, but if you're negative armor, yeah, those right clicks from Lich add up.
Yeah, everything hurts when you have minus 5 armor at 9 minutes into the game. That is very, very true. And this is a really good example of, like, the Viper pick for me, I wasn't really getting. Like, I guess they wanted the lane dominator to put up against the Lich because they knew that the Lich was going to be in one of the 2 lanes, either mid or bottom, right? As top Burning is going to get punched here again.
Yeah, but he will stay alive. Compliments of the cold embrace from FY. Now they'll try to turn on to Z-Talk. Winter's Curse comes out. He will move into Flesh Golem form, but they might have the damage here. Soul Rip just barely keeps him alive. And Greedy does press forward. They won't be able to find the kill. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Viper gets picked off again by the Slardar Lich duo. The slow comboing with the Sprint Slitherine Crush is just too much for this Viper to deal with.
Yeah, they're just like bullying every single lane at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it during the draft. The shortcoming of Unknown is their inability to really take early game fights. They rely heavily on kiting. Their only disabler is the Tusk. And this Death Prophet still doesn't have any points in Exorcism. Yep. So I'm kind of wondering, what is the go for them? Like, when do they feel confident in being able to do something?
Well, could be in some trouble here. We'll see a rotation coming in from the Lich, but there's a lane ward down, so we'll be able to scout it out. And does move to safety. But if that ward wasn't there, I think that's a guaranteed kill with Super and Fenrir. This is a rough early game for Unknown, and like you said, I wonder when Death Prophet really will start to come online here and try to make stuff happen. She will go for the Yule's Scepter first item, and does not skill the ultimate at level 9, grabs that last point in Witchcraft, so we'll have to wait until level 10 before we see Exorcism.
Well, this is the old build, right?
Yep.
Like, back when Exorcism level 1 was really bad, this is what you used to see. Even if you get it at level 9, you're still going to get, what, 13 spirits?
Radiant's
With 4
top
points,
tower
or
is
3
under
points into
attack.
Witchcraft, so I think that's plenty. It could have already applied a decent amount of pressure with that ult, and if you get it earlier, you could have even used it like maybe 2 or 3 times by this point.
I mean, right now it feels like Unknown just don't know what their game plan is at the moment. Burning is still free farming. He gets a tier 1 tower up top, completely unchecked. Viper's going for a hand of Midas, but has just nothing to show for it. Still doesn't even have the Midas complete, and he's going to get picked off again. Ice 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 just charges in. The Frost, or the ultimate from Lich was already utilized, and if Ice 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 lives here, oh my, now the Tombstone comes in from Z-Talk. They will be able to finish him off. It's Undying that'll get credit for the kill, so at least they make it a 1-for-1, but I mean, Viper can't even finish his Midas here, Draskell. That's how bad this is.
Yeah, they really need this Death Prophet to hit level 10. Like, you need your ulti so bad. That's going to be really the test. If the Death Prophet ultimates fall short in the first couple of uses, I think this game is just going to become extremely difficult for them.
I mean, it's already starting to ball out of control. About 4K net worth and experience is the lead for Vici, with Dusa topping the charts. And Burning going for a nice early combative build. He can join these fights if he wants to. Power Treads, Drum, Aquila. He's ready to rock and roll.
I think everyone on Vici can fight. Like, there's even Blink on the Tiny. So he just needs to send it out. Super just waiting for the courier to get back to base. Once that happens, pretty much everyone on the side of Unknown dies to that combo.
Yep. Yeah, the Blink Dagger, I think, is the right build for Tiny here. Just a lot of catch, and I mean, even this Viper, he's a free kill pretty much every time. Ice 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 will just walk in. Sure, he takes a Viper strike, but sets it up for an easy kill there, and Super will be able to punch him to secure the death.
Oh, Undying, you can't walk over there.
Oh no, Z-Talk, that was ambitious. Walks right into the danger zone. Easy 2-for-0, and Vici aren't done yet. Ice Ice Ice, he's got the sprint on. He finds himself, gets hit by a gale, but it doesn't matter. They just got way too much burst damage. These pickoffs are just all too easy for Vici.
She's showing once again why they are widely considered to be one of the top 3 teams in the world right now.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Just a very good understanding of heroes that aren't even seen that much. Like, how often do we see Death Prophet and Venomancer Viper together, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lineup that's fairly uncommon, and they're just showcasing that they understand how to deal with it thoroughly, even at this very early stage. And
yeah, I just really like this build that Burning went for. I feel like Medusa is often characterized as a hero that can't get involved early on, and I mean, Stone Gaze is a really powerful spell even in the early levels. And I like that they're starting to get Burning involved, especially now that he was able to get that tier 1 tower in his safe lane.
Well, Mystic Snake does a tremendous amount of damage, as long as you can land it on multiple targets. That's the hard part, is like, early in the game, it's not often that you see like 3, 4, 5 heroes in close enough proximity to really land a good Mystic Snake, but in this game it's possible, just because of the kind of lineup that Unknown have put together.
Well, Yules is up on the Death Prophet. She's also level 10, about halfway to level 11. So we could still see our first Exorcism. Maybe that will be the turning of the tides. What are you thinking about this Midas on Viper? Do you think that was the play here?
I actually thought he was going to go for mech. Because
me too.
like mech with Death Prophet ulti, that just seems like, you know, that
Dire's
seems like the
middle
logical
tower
choice.
is under attack.
Because you're building a Venom with wards, you have Exorcism, you got Tombstone. Why not just have a mech on top of it to make your 5 versus 5
Radiant's
even more
bottom
terrifying?
tower is under attack.
But I can see how Yule's is good for spam, it's good for farm. They are smoked up here. Level 2 Exorcism is available.
Unknown, starting things off. He has an invisibility rune on. They have a sentry down. Oh no, this could be bad for... Oh no, the Death Prophet will be able to hop into the Yules. That'll buy him a little bit of time. But now the Stonegaze comes out. The Chain Frost from Lich will start bouncing. DP, the first hero to go down in this fight. She didn't even get to use the ultimate. Chain Frost still bouncing around like crazy, doing some damage to heroes. They'll throw Ice in the Undying. That'll secure the kill there. It's a fast 2-0 for Vici. The rest of Unknown in quick retreat. But Excel, he's going to get left behind. And with that minus aura, Tiny just punches so hard, tosses him up. The Mystic Snake will bring him down. Ice. One hit from death. The tower shot might be enough to kill him, but no. He'll get an earn charge. He'll stay alive. Now the Cold Embrace buys him some time, and Tusk will get finished off. It's a 4-0. 18-5. Vici Gaming continuing to dominate Unknown.
That was so unfortunate. Like, they walked down past the sentry and an obs, so they knew the Death Prophet was in this, and then they just dropped another sentry in lane and killed her before she could even use Exorcism. It's been almost 16 minutes, and we have not seen the ability used. And Ice is also going to find the Viper again.
Absolutely. Viper now 0-7-1. This, I mean, you pick a hero like Viper to dominate the lane and have an early game presence. When he falls behind like this so early on, it's tough stuff. He's a paperweight at this point. Oh, Force Staff onto Z-Talk. They put him behind the tower. We will see Death Prophet utilize the ulti for the first time this game. Forces a glyph from Vici, and they will be able to grab this tower. Now that's something.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to just, like, 5-man around that ulti. That's pretty much their only game plan.
Every 2 minutes, yeah.
Exorcism is extremely potent. Even when the enemy team is ahead, you can never underestimate the amount of damage that it will do. But I think the problem that they're going to run into now is that Vici have had such a good start on their Tiny, especially, like having the Blink Drums already available.
Viper again in the bottom lane, caught by Ice.
This is what I mean, like they just have too many ways of jumping you now.
Yeah.
And because the Death Prophet has opted to go in for the Yules and not something that gives you a little more tankiness during the early game, like maybe he picks up a casual point booster now, which will help. But I think he still just gets blown up whenever Vici see him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. How do you even start to recover here? The Midas, I feel like, is actively working against him. That's where all of his gold is gone, and it just does nothing to keep him survivable. And he's barely even able to use it. I mean, he can keep it on cooldown, but he still can't really farm at any reasonable rate. And don't forget, all the while burning is just racking up the farm. He now has a completed Yasha and almost 2k gold to deal with, so he's...
Oh, God,
he's in good shape.
Tusk is dead too.
Yep, caught out again.
Yep.
So much catch here for the Dire side.
Kind of got a feel for Unknown because the first game was a lot closer than this one has been so far.
This just fell apart too early on.
Ice getting his urn taken.
Yep, that's unfortunate here. He will just barely survive with the Force Staff. Did they kill the urn or did they take it? Looks like they killed it.
It's just a little bit of hubris coming out from Daryl.
Yep.
He does that
Having a little fun with it.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Well, that's okay. FY split pushing in the bottom lane. That Winter Wyvern, watch out. He's almost at a Blink Dagger as well. Additional catch here for Vici Gaming.
I honestly don't know what they're supposed to do outside of 5-man at this point.
Oh, Z-Talk. He gets caught by a crush, sets it up for super. Toss combo, finds the kill. Another easy pick off here for Vici. They will disengage. And just look at this ward control here. The entire Radiant jungle is just completely warded. I mean, Vici know exactly where they're going to go. They've got complete map control. Kataro, he TP's in. They know exactly where he is. Ice hits him with an amp damage. They toss him back into the Dire team. Poor Viper.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel bad for him.
Starting to?
Oh, Death Prophet. She gets caught. Winter's Curse comes out. Gets dropped seconds after the Exorcism is utilized. It'll be on cooldown now.
He got cranky when he tried to Walrus punch him.
Oh my. It just gets worse here for Unknown. Now the Tusk falls. Undying gets off the Tombstone. It gets taken out. Chain Frost will fall, and that's it. 19 minutes in, they called the GG, and honestly, not a moment too soon. It'll be a 5-man wipe as the Venom gets taken out. 5-0 to round things out.
Victory.
Game 2, Vici, man. They came out of the gate guns blazing.
Yeah, that was pretty one-sided. This is more along the lines of what I was expecting when I saw the first game. But I mean, Unknown showed that they have some potential. It's just a matter of this lineup. I think was too far off center.
Yeah.
Like we talked about before the series even started, maybe bringing something to the table that was a little bit new. But usually that means like maybe 1 or 2 new heroes. It doesn't mean pick Venno, Viper, and Death Prophet together. You know, because the thing is, the glaring weakness of the lineup is we can't actually fight. We have some kiting, we have some decent laners, but Ice moving around and recognizing that just throwing a wrench into the early game static laning phase of Unknown would just completely make them collapse. Like that was in of itself kind of where the game started to spiral out of control. Yeah. And I also don't know about delaying the Death Prophet ulti for so long, because he didn't cast it until he was level 11.
16 minutes in.
And at that point in the game, it's already like, we're getting wrecked.
Yeah.
You know, I think that maybe skilling the ultimate a little bit sooner could have at least let them pressure the mid tower a bit. You know, maybe something else happens. I don't know, man. It was not pretty.
Yeah, you look at this Unknown lineup and you think, well, if their laning phase is okay around 15 minutes, they could have a really scary death ball. But I think a lot of that revolves around having a mech, and that was the other big weakness. Is there was no mech carrier. Viper had Midas at the end of that game. That was his only item. Yeah. And it just didn't really provide them with much.
I wonder if it would have been better off just putting the Tusk bottom with the Viper and then having the Venno top with the Undying. Because I feel like Venno Undying is very difficult to fight into when you only have Wyvern and Medusa. Because it's the lane of no disables on Vici's side versus the lane of, okay, Tusk initiate might be enough to actually kill the Wyvern, because you can't usually use Arctic Burn to get away from Gale. Just you're too slow, right? You can still get killed. So I'm wondering if the laning phase could have maybe been a little bit cleaner from Unknown. But all things considered, Vici looking pretty strong in their opening set, especially in the second game.
Absolutely. 2-0 goes the way of Vici, and it looks like the Dota 2 Lounge odds were on point.
What was it?
98-2, something like that. It was. I think that's the most one-sided.
The first game was not 98-2. That was like that was like 80-20, which is still a much bigger.
I mean, like you mentioned, Unknown have a rocky. Maybe we can pull up the groups just to refresh anybody that hasn't seen them yet. Unknown are in a rough group, and I think even though they got whomped in Game 2 and they lost their first series 2-0, they still showed some promise. Game 1 really did show that they're a team with some skills, you know. And
well, they got OG and Vega in their group as well, I believe, as we are pulling up the groups right now, so we'll be able to check that out.
Yeah, so still some rough games ahead for Unknown, but again, it's worth just going back to that point that this is such a valuable experience for a team like this that is, you know, there's never been an event of this scale before.
Yeah. No, it's true, because when you're playing against top caliber teams, it is the best way to improve, because they, like, the first thing that people realize when they play Dota is, man, I just get wrecked every single game, you know? But then you adapt. You're like, why did I get wrecked? And then you look at the replay, or, you know, you just think about it for a little while, and you keep trying new things, and you try new things, and you eventually find something that works for you. And a team is no different. You know, you just got to find your niche. You got to find your zone. So Unknowns still have some time for adaptation. They'll walk away from the series and play some more today. And at the end of it, they'll be like, all right, what do we need to improve on? What are we good at? What can we do better? You know, what heroes do we do well with?
Right.
I think maybe sticking to the kind of aggressive style they had in Game 1, where they actually had some disables and teamfight potential that worked a lot better for them in this series. So maybe try to gravitate towards that in the ongoing series for the day. But we're done here. I mean, we only got one series.
That's it.
So.
One series today. That's it for the D stream. We will be back tomorrow, though. We'll be moving into Group D. How appropriate. We'll have Alliance versus eHome. That should be a really good series.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game. Should be good.
Absolutely. So that's it, folks. Thank you for joining us here. We'll be back tomorrow, I believe, at the same time, 11 a.m. local here on CET. I'm Zyori, he's Draskell, and we'll see you tomorrow.